Hi, I'm Chess, and you're watching Chess's Crazy Creations.
Hi everyone, I'm Chas, and I'm from Fort Collins, Colorado, and welcome. Thank you for tuning in today. We are going to be making a lot of things out of recycled, saved glass jars and bottles. So thank you Home Talk for having me, and thank you for being here. So as we get started, let's first talk about bottles here. So I saved a few jars. I got a coffee syrup jar, a sparkling cider jar, and this is a salsa jar. So I'm just going to remove the lids, and I'm going to get these soaking so you can see how I take labels off of my stuff. So the first thing I'll do is I'll try to remove as much of the label as possible on its own, just so I don't have that. And while I'm pulling all the extra label off, why don't you tell me where you're tuning in from? I'd love to know.
We have Australia, New York, Indiana.
Welcome. All over the place. I always love to hear that. Now, this isn't hugely necessary. I've done it without pulling extra off, but I just sometimes think that you end up going through more layers if you don't try to pull some of it off ahead of time.
We have Iceland and Canada.
Oh my goodness. All over. Welcome. Thank you for being here today. Okay, there's one. That's probably good. This one. So pull this thing off. It's kind of like a metalish foil stuff. Wine bottles are a little harder because that's a little harder to get off.
Ooh, we have someone from Egypt.
Egypt. Oh my goodness. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And this one's really sticky, so I don't think I'm going to be able to get anything off of that one. So, Riel's going to rotate for you, and I'm just going to set these in my sink. So she's going to go around this side. I'm going the other way. So some people will you can put soap in here if you want, especially if they're sticky or dirty and you haven't cleaned them out already. But I'm just going to use, and it doesn't, I don't think it matters if it's hot or cold. So I've got it on. Really for me, it seems like all that matters is the length of time you let them soak. Sometimes some labels, it doesn't need hardly any time at all, and then some labels need a lot more time. So I just am going to fill this till the water kind of covers all the surfaces. But while we're waiting for that, so these are just different jars that I have saved. We've got anything from, I'm pretty sure these are salsa jars, these ones. And then this is like a ball jar, or a ball jar. Not even sure what that one was at one point. And what I've done with those is, these are just jars. I took my seasonings and dumped them in. I labeled them with a label maker. And you can buy these ball lids. They come in a pack of 2. And they just screw onto those jars just great. So you can screw them off if you need to use a tablespoon. You can use the little sprinkler if you need to, season it that way. So that's one way. But if you don't want to buy those lids, that's okay. Okay, now I'm just filling these bottles so they sink. Okay, that one might take a couple rounds because he's not all the way in there. So let me put a little more in there. And then that's not all I use. Like this one is cornstarch, and I don't sprinkle that in anything, so I just kept the normal lid for that one. So that's just my cornstarch. And then these were old popcorn seasoning jars that were like a fundraiser from when I was a kid, I think. My mom gave them to me and said, hey, you know, what do you want to use these for? And so I put my seasoning in them, and they again have like the little sprinkling areas or this, or you can unscrew them. So any jar that you have, you can kind of turn into a seasoning jar. But then I also wanted to show you that this lid, came off of a, this lid came off of a Parmesan can. And, you know, like this was just a Great Value brand, I believe. And I put the Parmesan cheese in here, and the lid fits right on. So it's kind of a little trial and error with your lids. But basically, this is just a Parmesan lid. And, of course, I put my Parmesan cheese in here, but you wouldn't have to. I could have used that for my seasonings as well. And then I wanted to show you, this is just a Coffee Mate creamer. These lids work, too. So this is just a salsa jar that I'm recycling. The same thing goes here. So now I've got a little lid to go in a jar, and I can put creamer in here if I want, like that powdered creamer, or make my own creamer, or anything that needs a spout. You could use these lids if you're a crafter and you have glitter or anything like that, and you want to switch it up to some jars. So that's one way to kind of repurpose your jars. Okay, we'll move back over to the table. So I will just take a couple of these over here and set them here, because I like to always kind of recap the things we were working on. And then we'll move on. So, next one we're going to do is I'm going to take this. This is just a big, giant spaghetti jar. And this is just Mod Podge. I'll probably need more than that, but I wanted to use this up. So, I'm going to pour the rest of this Mod Podge in here. There we go. And it doesn't matter, they sell it in both gloss, and they also sell it in matte. For this project, it won't matter. And then I've just got some regular food coloring. So I'm just going to put some drops of food coloring in that. Mix and match your favorite colors, whatever you kind of want to do. Stick that back in there.
Really quickly, going back to the jars, where did you get the black and green lids from?
Oh, those, I got mine from Target, but I've seen them at Walmart. I've found them at Amazon. So they're at a lot of different places. And again, they were 2-pack, and I've had them for a long time now, but I feel like they were maybe between $4 and $6 for 2. I didn't think that was too bad, especially since it was something I was going to use for a really long time. You know, if it was something I wasn't going to use very long, it might be kind of costly, but if I'm going to use it for a really long time, I don't mind spending a little more. Ooh, this one's goopy. This is just my bigger jar. So again, I'm just mixing up this Mod Podge and the food color together. And then I'm going to pour this carefully into this jar. I may not have made quite enough, but we'll find out. But you'll get the idea anyways. So now I'm just going to take this Mod Podge and swirl it around in the jar. My goal is to kind of coat all of it. This mouth in this jar is kind of small, but you could use like a spoon or a stick or something to kind of help you get it all around. I was a little worried with that mouth being so small that I wouldn't really quite be able to reach everything. Now what we're going to do with this is we're going to bake it, and it's going to turn into like a clear glaze, like I would call it like a stained glass look. The one thing to know about Mod Podge, I'll be using it quite a bit today, is that it is water soluble. So that means, I mean, it will hold up an okay amount, but if you you know, put this in the dishwasher, of course, which is not what I'm planning to do with it. Come on. If I put it in the dishwasher, then it would definitely wash out. All right, let's spread it around. Now, because I'm spreading this all around with my paintbrush, it will make the lines. So if you don't want lines in yours, I'm just speeding up the process again. If you don't want lines in yours, then you will want to make sure you make enough that it just spreads on its own. Because any marks you make, those will stay. But for what I'm doing, I'm okay with that. There we go. I'm getting that all in there. Let me a slight mess. If you had a bunch extra, what you would do then is tip this upside down over your jar, like over this, and just let it drain onto a plate or like a, again, throwaway plate or something. You would definitely just okay. Pretty good, huh? That's a mess. All right, so I have my oven set on 200. We're at high altitude here, so it tends to things tend to bake differently than everywhere else. 150 can work. So if you're worried about, you know, not paying attention to it and forgetting about it, then go ahead and leave it at 150. I wanted to do mine a little hotter, so I was hoping that it would get done before our show ends today. So I'm just going to set that in there and let that bake on all the glue to dry. So, sorry, Brielle. I'm just getting my glue off my hands really fast.
It says the live videos interrupted.
It's okay. Yeah, I think it's back.
Still working? Okay, good. All right, let me just set this over here for now. Good enough. All right, moving on. Okay, I will come back to that one, but it has to bake first before we can do more with that one. So. All right, so we've Mod Podged one light. That's gonna turn into something later. I've showed you my spice jars. I have this whole list of all the stuff we're gonna do. Food storage. So if you have glass jars, you can use them for food storage, right? Wash them out. Oh, here we go. And you know, this was my simmering pot I made a few weeks ago. This is just oranges, apples, and cinnamon sticks and water, and then you put it in a crock pot, and then or a pot, and you use it to make your home smell good. But imagine this is like your leftover spaghetti. You put your noodles, your sauce, your meatballs all in here in the fridge, ready to go. Take it to work with you tomorrow. Pull the lid off because that's metal. Put a paper towel or something over it. Microwave it. Again, glass is good in the microwave, and you're good. So, you can definitely put salad in here. You can put leftovers in here. So never, even those jars can just be used for leftovers. So feel free to do that because, again, you can heat them in the microwave. You can do a lot of that stuff. Soap dispenser. This is dish dishwashing detergent. This is just a ball jar that I had. I bought this as a kit. So it came with this little thing, and this had a hole in it, and the dispenser. I bought this from, I believe I bought it from Amazon, and it was like $4 to $6. And it was a kit ready to go. Just screwed it together. But you can make any soap pump with that. I am going to show you how to do a few of those, actually. So this is just a spaghetti jar, and I spray painted the lid. And I've got a drill here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make a little indent. I think I want to use this one. get myself started. Okay, so I'm just going to make some holes here. So I can do it like this, or I can use my drill. I'm going to use both today. Oops. My paint is a little tacky from earlier. So basically I'm just mutilating this lid. I could paint it later too, which would probably be pretty smart. Okay, so let me finish with the drill. These are just little soap pumps that I've saved. So I'm gonna just finishing making. Oops, I didn't tie that one good enough, did I? My husband would be laughing at me right now. Anyways, I'll go back in there and get that one. Come back out. That's the wrong way, this way. Okay. Last trouble. Let me get this one with the hammer, maybe. Little piece right there. Hold still. All right. Anyways, you get the point. So then I'm going to put this in here, and you're going to go till it's full. See? Just like that. Now, if you, then you would fill it with either your hand soap that you like, or again, you could use your Dawn dish detergent. But then I go, as it's got water that I'm leaking. So yeah, now I've got my own little exact same thing. This was on another soap dispenser or hand sanitizer thing, probably the hand sanitizer that I used to burn in the fire bowl a few weeks back. And there you go, that was that simple, and then you didn't have to buy it. So free, ultimately, your jar that you got from your spaghetti and a pump that you saved off something else. And you've got yourself your own homemade soap dispenser. Now, say you can use that for just regular hand soap too. Now, going a little further than that, this is just like a beer bottle, and again, you could remove the labels if you wanted to or not. This is, again, just another pump. You could put this in here, and then you could hot glue it because you'll want to remove it if you want it to be this kind of pump. If you want it permanent, I mean, you can look. There's a lot of pumps out there that are different sizes that'll fit on here. So you can use E6000 to make it permanent, but you'll want to refill it. So I'm thinking, yeah, you're more going to want like silicone or something like that. I prefer, for if you're going to use dish soap, with this, one of these little oil dispensers. So that just pops in there like that, right? One of the olive oil dispensers. They sell these $2 for $1 at the Dollar Tree. And you just put your dish detergent in here, dish soap, and then you use that. And then it's pretty solid. Whoops. And I just pulled it apart. Way to go. It's solid. Anyway, so that's the idea there. It's nice that it comes apart, though, because then it's good for cleaning. There. All right, so my daughter's laughing at me. Awesome. I'm sure you're not the only one. Okay, so I guess I'll put it back in there so it's a display. Boom. There you go. 3 different kinds. Olive oil. Where did my olive oil go? Here it is. So I use that same concept. This was a tonic water jar. We ripped off all the labels. I put one of those tops in, right? 2 for 50 cents, so I got double the use. Filled it with olive oil and put a bunch of seasonings in the bottom. Stir it up there. And you let it set for 3 weeks, and then you've got cooking oil, and you've also got bread dipping oil. So now you've got also another salad dressings would work in here. Make your homemade salad dressings. That's a recycled jar too. So there's another way to use another jar. All right, let me move this out of the way. All right, then you've seen a lot of these out there. We're going to make a little fancy jar is what I call it. So this came to me, had jelly in it, but I was like, oh, it's so pretty. You can't throw that away, right? So I just made a little dot on the top where I'm going to drill. Oh wait, I got to tap the hole. That's right. Make a little hole just so I get it started to guide my drill better. Okay. Now I picked a bit that's just slightly, hopefully, bigger than this handle that's going to go in there. Okay. Let's see if I got it big enough. I did. Yay. Now, you can saw this down if you want to, cut it off. I'm leaving it. It's made to go through a drawer, right? That's why it's long, but screw that on there. There we go. And you got yourself a fancy jar. Now I'm not going to screw that on yet because I'm going to give you an example. So you can make this a candy jar, or these are Q-tips. You know, in your bathroom, you got cotton balls, Q-tips, and you've got yourself a cute little jar with a lid, and it just looks like, you know, kind of fancy to be. So I call it fancy jar. But again, you could be a candy dish or something like that too. So very simple, just poking a hole through, adding a very little handle to it. I decided to leave, you could paint it again, but I liked that little design there, so I decided to keep it. All right, I'm done with the drill. It's probably a good thing too. Thanks. All right. All right, a couple simple things that you can do. You guys have seen these before, but just as reminders. This one was actually store-bought, but, you know, a gift. You've got gifts you want to make for people. So this one was one of those layered cookie things. Okay, this one came store-bought. You can make these. Just save your spaghetti jars and make these cakes, cookies, put them in here all pretty like this and you know, give them to some friends. You can. My neighbor actually made these for us this year. They fancied the jar up and added some mint M&Ms in there, and that was a cute little gift and to give as well. I am going to, this one is the light one next. This is another gift that I was just going to make, but then we're going to fancy it up a bit. So, you know, just come up with ideas. First aid kit, sewers, crafters. I'm going to make like a little manicure pedicure kit. So I've got the little feet thingies and a little nail polish and a file, little cuticle scissors, right? And then you just add a little alcohol pads in there. And let's see what else I got room for. Fingernail clippers, maybe that, and perhaps a couple cotton balls, right? Yeah, I could put some of those in the bottom. All right. Then you put the lid on, and there you go. It's a gift. But now we want to decorate it. So, I need a plate for when this is done, just to be safe. Okay. What I've got here is a couple nail polishes to kind of continue the theme. So I've got water. This is just a throwaway Cool Whip container that I've saved. And again, I painted this lid silver earlier today. Just put this in there. So now what I'm going to do is just take this nail polish and I'm going to pour it in the water like that. And then I liked the glittery kind too, so I'm going to add a little bit of that to it. Maybe. It's not solid. Come out. There we go. Gotta love that when they get all hard. All right, we've got a question, by the way, for today. A little slow on asking my questions. Sorry about that. For a tote bag giveaway. This is the tote bag right here. And the question is, what have you upcycled a jar into? What have you upcycled a jar into? So back to our gift. So I poured the little nail polish in here, and I am just going to dip my jar into here, into this water, and try to catch the paint on it. Now, I've been told that it dries fast. I've not done this a whole lot myself, so you have to kind of move quickly because as soon as that paint hits the water, it kind of dries. Now, if you wanted to make your glass a little more solid first, you could definitely do that, paint it solid, and then do this after. All right, I'm going to let this strip off, but here you go. Kind of another way to marble your glass there a little bit. All right, drip, drip, drip. All right, I'm going to set this one upside down so it can dry. And I'm going to move that over here. Well, I guess I'll move back here because I don't want to block you guys. Move my waist. All right, so that was gifts. Let's move on to something very simple. This is just kind of a nicer jar. It actually held wheat germ. And it's winter time, so bear with me here. Pretend these are real. But I just filled it with water, and I've got a vase. So a nice, easy way to decorate any table with some fresh flowers, you know, either outside on your picnic table or inside in your home in the summer. Very simple, can look very elegant, I think. All right. Keepsakes and memory jars. So this was an old ball jar that was my grandma's. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. So I ended up deciding to pay a little tribute to my grandparents in it so I could display it in my home. So I've got some that were my grandma on one side, and then there's like a fishing lure that was my grandpa's. And I just kind of added some stuff of theirs and some stuff of mine, like the sand on the bottom was from a beach that we've been to, and just made it kind of a keepsake memory jar in their honor with something. I just thought the jar was really cool, and I wanted to do something with it instead of just storing it somewhere. So you can store keepsakes in it. Another idea is I'm a pressed penny fiend. So I bought this little lid that has a slit in it, and they come from like Michael's, and you can get them on Amazon. And it's like a penny jar. And so inside here are pressed pennies from all the places I've been, money that I've saved from the countries I've visited, because I love seeing all that stuff. It's very cool to me. Other little trinkets and treasures, other little, you know, those little coins that have memories on them. Just hit the stop button over on the right side. Thanks. So this is just, again, you can collect your memories this way, or again, you could just make this a penny jar. So, keepsakes and penny jars. Let's go check on that really fast. Let's see if it's clear yet. It's got to cool down, but ultimately with this jar, it's looking pretty good. It might need a little bit longer in there, so I'll turn it back on, but it's clearing up. Do you see how it's clearing up in there? So, again, that's just drying up. So I will keep it cooking, but thank you, Skylar, for turning that off for me. Go. We'll give it another 10 minutes maybe and see what happens. Oops. All right. All right, keepsake jar we went to. Now, this was like a sauerkraut jar. And what I decided to do with this jar is preserve a memory. And make it a photo album, or a photo display, I guess, is more what I wanted to say. So I have a picture of my kids last fall. Every year we go take pictures of jumping in a pile of leaves in our backyard. So that's going to be a little harder to see probably on the camera. And then what I did is I collected some leaves from that day, and I put them, I'm doing this backwards, so I hope that I'm doing this well. I just put some leaves in the bottom. So again, like if you had rocks or shells from a trip you went to, you know, you just put those in the bottom and put your little display in there, and you've got yourself a little photo frame. You could spray paint the lid and put it back on to stop it from collecting dust, or leave it open. You could put a fake little, like one of those fake tea lights in there, and then, you know, kind of light it up too. So now you've got, it's hard to get, huh? But you have just basically another photo frame with a little added extra to it. All right. Keep going. I told you there's a lot. Hannah, we might have to do 2 parts to this one. This is crazy. All right, I've done, let's move on to, oh yes, this thing. Spinny Jar. You've seen these before, but you can make them. This is a really great adhesive, and it's E6000. I'm going to take the lid off this. This is from, this is a candle holder from, I got it from the thrift store, but you can get them from Dollar Tree too. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere those together like that. You can use it as a fancy drinking glass. You can take your lid and spray paint it, and you can, you know, make it a candy dish. You can add one of those little fancy little knobs to the top too. But ultimately, sometimes these get adhered to themselves, and that is not fun. And then I need pliers. All right. I'm not able to get it. I don't want to waste too much time doing this. You know what though? It's okay. I had a backup in case I needed it. This stuff comes out scarily fast sometimes. Like that. All right, so you're going to take this and glue it all the way around. Keep those ideas coming. There's still a chance and time for a giveaway. Now, if you're at all worried that that's not going to be enough, just go ahead and fill up that hole. I've seen really cute things where people put really fun things in that hole. Someone's put flowers in there so that when you drink it, then there's a little flower. You put a colored marble in there, you know, just to give it a little something. All right. This is why
someone recommended using Vaseline to help it not stick.
That's a great idea. Thank you. Now I know what to do. All right, now I'm just gonna center that up, and it's gonna need to stay like this. I would say 24 hours minimum, because I like to know that it's good and solid. Now all that stuff in there, you could have filled it all the way up, but it's all coming down now in there, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. So now you've got a fancy candy jar or a drinking glass. Those are fun for, you know, outdoor backyard parties and stuff too. Awesome. Let's move on to this. Let's move on to these. All right, these are the same as those labels over there. This is a wine bottle, and this is a coffee syrup bottle. And you've got a lot of choices with these too as to what you want to do. So one of the things you could do, because I think this is nice just kind of the way it is. Now I would fill this up in the sink, but because I don't want to run back and forth, I brought this over. So I'm just doing this so it's faster. All right, awesome. So you could just leave it like this. And whenever you have guests over for something, you could, you know, just have it as a water dish to serve water. It's just a little nicer than just like that plastic pitcher, right? And you put it on your dining room table and you serve your water from it. You could use it as a vase, right? Pretty simple. Little vase to hold a flower. I think it's nice and elegant. Again, adds a little something to your table. And you've just recycled something. The other thing I like to do with these, I'm going to add some cranberries in there just for some color. I probably would have left it down a little bit lower if I was going to do this, really. And I'm going to get some food coloring back out. I think I'll go with blue just for contrast. And get the lid here for the full effect. Isn't that cool when it goes down? I think that's awesome. Okay. There we go. Nope, stuck there now. Come out. Yeah, so if you want to leave them down, they'll float better. Obviously, not be so necked up. You can use a real one or a fake one, but just add a candle to the top and put that on your table. And you've got a nice little taper candle holder, again, for your dining room table or on a buffet or something like that. Works in any of these bottles. This one, I'm going to add some, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. Add some marbles. You could add, the neck is small on these, but you could try to add some colored ones. I knew these would work, so I'm just going for these. And they're just clear marbles. That's right. Anyways, you fill all that up with the colorful marbles. You could also use sand. You could also use rocks or other colored things. But anyways, just something to weight that is what you're looking for. Again, you could make your candle holder with this in the bottom of it. That would be just fine. But what I wanted to turn this one into was a solar light. So I would fill this all the way up for a nice weight outside. Again, would go on your table outside, or maybe to help light a pathway where, you know, obviously something would knock it over and break it. But, you know, again, it adds a little ambiance to your yard. Or you can use them inside, too. They just need enough light. So, again, in case of emergencies, this is a nice little thing to have on hand. So that's just a couple things you can do with some bottles. Whoops. Come back. This one I'll do really quick. This is pretty easy. I just have this strand of 20 colored lights from the dollar store. They were Christmas time, right? So I know it's not the right season, but if you're looking to do nice Christmas presents for somebody for next year and you wanted to start saving your bottles and start working on them a little bit at a time, anyways, you're just going to stick all these lights into the bottle. I've seen people make these with a lot of different things too. They turn them into memories of their favorite wine bottle that they went somewhere and had. But we're going to do something a little more crafty. So, that's all in there. There's my beeper again. Let's see how that is quick. That's looking good. Alright, there it is. I'm going to turn it off and let it cool in there now. And I will probably let it cool all the way down to room temperature. Now, I'll tell you what I will do with that. I don't know if we'll get it out in time to show you, but isn't that pretty? I think it's really pretty. All right. Okay, I don't want to burn you, Bee. Okay, going back to the table. So these are just these little sheets of automatic sticking. They're self-sticking jewels. I got these from the Dollar Tree. I'm only going to do one side. I'll try to do it so you guys can see. But you would do it, of course, all the way around. I'm just wanting to save some time for all of us. But you're just going to stick these all over. Thank you, Bee. And you would do this all around the whole thing. Come back, it's stuck to my finger. There we go. You seem to be a lot of the same color in this row. You could do this to the water bottle that you're serving your water out of too if you wanted to. That would be a good idea too. All right, so pretend that's all the way around. And what I'm going to do, I'll turn that back to you. This is an old glass door handle. That was my grandparents', I think. But I'm just going to use that as a topper. Or you could use something like this. Again, another door handle thing, right? Stick it in there like that. But that was a doorknob. Not a doorknob, I'm sorry. A handle for a drawer. This one was a doorknob. And then you've got yourself a little Christmas tree that you can give as a gift, or if you don't have a lot of space, this is a great way for you to have a Christmas tree at your home. You can hide the cord behind it, and you can use battery operated or LED lights if you wish. All that's great. I have a triangle one of these that I get out every Christmas time because my mom gave me this funky shaped triangle one, and I did this to it. And I leave it on quite a bit, and it gets a little warm, but it's fine. So that you could start working on now for Christmas presents for people eventually, if you wanted to. Where's my next one? This one. I don't know if everybody knew this, but again, going back to this is just a simple idea. I'm just going to do this really fast. You can make just something this little in your home. Dress up a table. This was a jelly jar. And tea lights float. So you can put a candle in there, light that up, and you've got, I wonder if it'll light. I got some water on the top, which sometimes that means it won't light. But you've got it in there, and you've got a nice little floating candle for your table. So I always think that's kind of cool. Simple and easy. Now I'm going to talk seasonal candle holders because you can make something for every season. So these are real leaves that I got, and I flattened them between books till they were kind of brittle, and then, or well, they were dry. I flattened, I should say. They're not brittle yet, but they're flat at least. And then I Mod Podge them onto the glass, and then I Mod Podge over the top, so behind and on top, and I let it dry, and I made this fall candle out of real leaves. So that's like something you can put up for all fall. It's winter time right now, so this is a little olive jar lid. So for a winter candle, thank you, I would, this is also another jar, and I use this for my paint. So once I'm done with the brush, I stick it in the water, or, you know, when I'm, depending upon what kind of paint I'm using. So it can be used for art supplies as well. So this is just Mod Podge, and I'm just going and doing the whole jar. I'm going to get the whole thing all the way around. It doesn't have to be perfect because it dries clear. But, you know, you're welcome to take your time if you want to. Let's see. Let me just do that. No, let me do that actually. Then what I've got is a very large container of Epsom salt. You do not need one this big. I just have one for a lot of different reasons. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to sprinkle that. Well, I'm going to put it on the plate too, but I might as well do it while I'm in the process. I'm going to sprinkle this on the Mod Podge. And I'm going to roll it in there till it gets all the way around. Okay, can you see that? You might see some spots I missed, but again, I'm just, for the sake of time, going a little bit faster. So this would be a nice, again, a winter gift, a winter candle, and let's see if I can, this one's really narrow, and of course I didn't make it. Let's see if I can get him to go in there. There we go. And if I light him up, you would wait till it dries, of course, but there we go. It's kind of hard to see. That wick was really kind of tiny for some reason. But it's a candle holder for the winter time out of another jar. And again, that was just an olive jar. So you've got yourself a fall and a winter one. We got spring coming now. Told you we're doing a lot of jars today. So what I'm going to do next, similar idea, just another jar. I have so many of these jars. I've got these squares of tissue paper. These came from Dollar Tree, but any tissue paper works. They don't have to be perfect squares. They're just, these ones came this way, but I've cut my own, tore my own. It's kind of the look you want to create. Now what I'm going to do, same thing. I'm going to paint my jar. I'm going to take little pauses here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the tissue paper onto the jar.
Was this what we did as kids?
Yes, you guys did these for people for Mother's Day for preschool. I've made a lot of these. Now, the one thing you can envision with me, this project right here, this is called a stained glass mosaic, I guess. One of the things that you can do, and I have done, is branch out. So this is kind of, you're thinking of spring right now. But if you did this in all orange tissue paper and let it dry, you've got a pumpkin. You know, draw the face on it. You do it with white tissue paper and let it dry, and then you've got, you know, ghost, right? So you can branch out to your seasons just with this concept alone. Okay, and then I'm going to keep going. Finish this up, and then you have one more step to do when this is done. And it's okay if they overlap, and it's okay if they are like different angles and shapes. In fact, I actually encourage that. It kind of gives it a cool, more of a stained glass look the more you do that to it and overlap things. Let's see, let's put blue up here and purple down here. Now, obviously they're on there, but now we want to seal them. So what you're going to do now is do an extra layer of the Mod Podge on top. Now keep in mind, this may not happen before the end of this show, but there is a link that they'll put up to this project, and you can see it after it dries. But all this Mod Podge will go clear, and then what you'll be left with is just the color, and kind of, you know, some of those wrinkles will be there to add it some personality. But it's a nice little spring candle holder. And again, those of you who have kids and stuff, like my daughter was just saying, they did it for Mother's Day. It's a good classroom project for the spring, for anybody who's a teacher, or you're looking for something to do with your family, and you're just looking for a craft. So there you go. I mean, again, that'll dry and be clear. You could do the bottom if you want. You can do decorate up here if you want. But that would be, I'm going to turn it, well, I guess I don't need to. I'll turn it that way. Candle in there. Actually, I have one. Let's put it in there. Let's put it in there. And turn them on. Again, it's going to be a little funky because the Mod Podge is still there. All right. There you go. You got the idea with that. Cool. All right. Now, I'm still not done. I'm running out of time though. I may stop with this one, but I'll tell you what I was going to do with the one in the oven. Last chance. Go ahead and get those, you know what, you get those, I'm having trouble, sorry. What have you upcycled a jar to? Because I'll be reading those later because I like getting new ideas. So this jar, say you had a piece of paper and you would cut it into little slips. Or you have these craft sticks, right? They'd fit in there. And on these you're going to put either like, it's going to be a date night jar or a boredom buster. So if you've got kids that, you know, you're like, oh, you need something to do. You know, you put like board games, play outside, or you be specific, play with Play-Doh, go watch your Viewmasters. Your dates might be a movie date, a dance date, you know, whatever. And you put those inside here like that. And then what you're going to do is, I lost my lid, here it is. I spray painted my lid, that's my lid. But to make it just a little prettier, again, these are like, again, you could use this stained glass idea or this, you know, the present could be wrapped in that. You can, these are just ideas. You can just branch them all out. You could do that to the candle holders or anything you want. Where'd my glitter go? It's right there. All right. I saw these at Hobby Lobby and I was like, I can make that. So this was a salsa jar. And I'm just, again, Mod Podge. Not kidding, I just saw these at Hobby Lobby. I couldn't tell you what they were selling for because I was like, I can make that, so I didn't even think about it. You can make a design, use some tape to block it off, but I'm just going to do half of it because that's kind of what they did in the store. Just like this. And then, I'm just going to stick that in there. I will be able to save the excess glitter. So when you see this, I'll be able to pour the extra in here. I'm just going to take the glitter and put it on the jar. And I kid you not, that's what they look like at the store. And I just made one with a recycled jar myself and some Mod Podge. So again, glitter, you can tape it off, you can make it, you know, however you want to. But this is exactly what they look like in the store. And then again, you put your lid on, you put your ideas inside, you've got yourself a boredom buster jar or a date night jar or a good thoughts jar. Maybe you want to have those, you know, poems or sayings or something inspirational. I guess it's an inspiration jar. You can put that in there. You could also just put a candle in here. Again, another candle holder, and it'd be glowing and sparkling. All right, so as we wrap up here, because I did take a long time today, this is kind of what I was going to make with that jar that's in the oven. So this is a bunch of agate rocks I collected as I was a kid when I was in Minnesota. They mean something to me. I know they don't to everyone else. But I took a solar light, pulled the stake off, right? So the stake's off the solar light, and then I just put it in there. So it's stuck in there. If you're worried at all about water, just put a little seal of silicone around that. No big deal. But then you have your light. So imagine this. For those of you who are tuning in late, I'll back myself up over here and open this oven. So here's my light. And what I would do in my jar, and I would just put this sitting right on there. Actually, I'll just go for it. And then you can see that light's in there. and just a little silicone around will stop the water from getting in, because if water does get in there, it will erase those Mod Podge. Or just put it on your porch where water won't get to it or snow won't get to it. So, look at all this stuff we just made today, and it's all out of recyclable jars. Photo albums, candle holders, solar holders, vases, gifts, memory jars, things to hold your supplies, things to hold your food, crafts and gifts to give to people. I think I already said that, but seasonal candle holders. I use these jars all the time. It is so great. So, again, thank you, Home Talk, for having me. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And I hope that you'll make some of these ideas. Give me some hearts if you liked it. Give me some thumbs up if you think you're going to make some of these. Please share with anybody else who you think might like some of these ideas too. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks so much. Bye.
You can find the tutorial for these and more at chasscrazycreations.com. Thank you for watching, and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.